So, what is a functional analysis? A functional analysis is a procedure that's implemented so that we can determine what the function of a targeted behavior is. With this information, we can create an appropriate treatment plan to address those target behaviors based on the functions. Now, there are 5 main functions of behavior that include play, which is a control condition. There's attention, alone, escape, and tangible, all of which we will go into more detail. But before implementing a functional analysis, there are a few things you need to do beforehand. First, you need to create an operational definition of the behavior. So this is to ensure that anyone who reads the definition knows exactly what this behavior looks like. The next thing you need to do is gain consent from the guardians. You cannot perform a functional analysis until you get that consent. And then you need to collect baseline data. So the first function we'll go over is play, which is also the control condition. Now this condition is used for baseline data collection, and it will be used to compare with the other functions. And during this time, the client is given access to all preferred items and no demands will be placed. The provider may also engage socially with the client during this time. Now the next function we'll go over is attention. And during this condition, when the client engages in the target behavior, the provider will give some form of attention. Now this can look like good attention, like laughing or asking the client what is wrong. And then there is bad attention, which is telling them to stop or saying no. If the target behavior occurs or has an average higher than the play control condition, then the behavior is most likely maintained by the function of attention. Going into the alone function, during this condition, the client will be left alone, whether there is a two-way mirror or a small window through the door that you can look through, but the child must be watched at all times. And modifications can be made if the target behavior can create a danger to themselves, like knocking big pieces of furniture over or aggressive forms of SIB. And during this condition, no demands or consequences are placed. And if the target behavior occurs while the client is alone or at a higher rate than the controlled condition, then the target behavior is most likely maintained by the function of being alone. For escape behavior, during this condition, the provider will continuously place demands on the client. Now this will look like taking the client to a table and having them engage in a matching activity. And if the client engages in the target behavior, for example, like elopement, then breaks can be given in short intervals, but the provider must follow through with the demand placed. If the target behavior occurs more frequently than the play-controlled condition, then the target behavior is most likely maintained by the function of escape. The last function of behavior is tangible. Now, during this condition, preferred tangibles are provided and removed from the client by the provider. And we ask ourselves, does the target behavior occur when the item is removed, or does the target behavior stop when the item is again provided? If this occurs, then the target behavior is most likely maintained by the function of tangibles. Now, some pointers before I wrap up this presentation. I want to remind you that you must gain consent from the guardians before conducting a functional analysis. You need to make sure your target behavior is operationally defined so that anyone reading the definition can know exactly what the target behavior looks like. Make sure you ensure the safety of the client during all conditions, and always ask questions if you have any concerns during the procedure. And that concludes my presentation on functional analysis.